Alright guys, you've been telling me and telling me and telling me that I need to try to get back into Absolute Batman. So even though I said I wasn't, I faked you out. And I picked up Absolute Batman number 15. This is written by Scott Snyder with art by Jock, and you guys probably aren't gonna like me too much. It's an okay story, but through this whole thing, we get the story of Jack Grimm, the Absolute Joker, told 3 different ways and 3 different times. And I think it's meant to be a tension builder, and it's meant to keep you kind of gripped, but it doesn't work that way for me. You see that Jack Grimm the First was a Joker, a clown character. Then he built the fortune for the company through silent movies and things like that. And then the second Jack took over the business in the 1920s, and that actually he was the one that built movie, memorabilia and things like that. Stayed committed to philanthropic pursuits. And in the 1960s, Jack III was the central figure of JK, starting one of the first cable network companies. Jack IV was born in the 70s and took the company into gaming systems. And then Jack Grimm V is who we're talking about now, who is the Absolute Joker. And it says he was one of the first investors in online gaming platforms. So you're not hearing anything that's all that terrible. You're not like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. It's like the Joker. He's going in and putting his poison into the water, into the Gotham water system, and killing a bunch of people. And this whole thing is framed by Alfred talking to Bruce and trying to let him know this is who the Absolute Joker is. And so after the end of that, Bruce says, well, that doesn't sound too terrible. It doesn't sound terrible at all. And so Alfred goes back and tells the same story, but he adds a few elements to it, because Bruce says, I don't want to know the facts that you found over the years in your study of this man. I want to know what you believe. And so he goes back and he says the thing about it is that these people, they play both sides. And let's see, they might be the most powerful crime family in history, playing everyone against each other, profiting off the chaos that they sow, loyal to no country, no principle, nothing but power. And he says, and Alfred says, I always come back to the motto, live life like a clown. A clown plays the fool while making a fool of everyone else. He's a mastermind and he's a schemer. Okay, so eventually it comes out that Jack Grimm owns a bunch of little tiny islands, little small islands that are uninhabitable. You can't do anything with them. You can't, you can't put Mitsubishi on them or anything like that, like they did in the 1940s. They're just not useful for anything. It's just patches of land. But he owns all of these little tiny patches of land, and he ends up using them for the only purpose that they could be used for, as game, and hunting grounds. So then you see that this old man has been dropped off on this island, and he says, I've been alone on this island for almost 30 years. And at that point, Jack just looks at him and says, run. Now, the strong suit in this book is the art. Jock understands what his mission is. You are supposed to see the devilishness, the evil, the pure evil of Jack Grimm. So he gets that. But you get a third variation on this story. And that's when you get to see him transform into the Absolute Joker. And since I've already spoiled most of the comic, we'll just go ahead and spoil this double-page spread by Jock. So he's not quite an anti-Venom. He does have a quite Venom-looking face and tongue, but he's an original enough character that you don't see him just as Venom Light. But the thing about it is, you get the same story told 3 times through the course of the issue. And even though the Grimm family becomes more maniacal and more calculating with each and every retelling, reiteration of this story, there's no just gotcha moment where it just jumps out at you and you're like, man, this guy is truly depraved. He is something else. You don't get that moment. And that to me is what I would have been looking for when you get to see the origin of the Absolute Joker. That's what I was looking for. Not to find out that he's the antithesis, and he's pretty much, if you put Absolute Joker versus Bruce Wayne in the main DCU, you would pretty much have mirror images of each other. He has unlimited resources. He goes out there and is philanthropic towards children and orphanages and things like that. Like I said, he's absolutely the anti-Bruce Wayne of the main DCU. But somehow, in that story, it's not enough. It doesn't have that punch. Just to know that they're rich enough to drop humanitarian aid, and then to hire the rebels, the guerrilla soldiers that come and take that same aid. That's not enough to make him that absolute villain that he's supposed to be. Hunting people. Okay, Craven's done that for years. That was his whole shtick. So, to me, again, now look, I just sold off my Absolute Batman 1 through 4 the other day. I sold it off because I said, you know what, I'm never going to read this again. And so I made a little cash off of it in the process. But I tried it again. So, Bama, I'm sorry, brother. I tried it again, and it just didn't stick. It didn't land. So, I can't really recommend this book. I don't know who would have done a better job of making a more nuanced story, but it just seemed like Scott's idea for this guy was shrouded in mystery, and this issue was supposed to pull the curtain back on that mystery, and it just didn't seem like it landed. So, unfortunately, guys, I can't recommend this book. It's okay, and the artwork elevates what would be, to me, an even more mundane story, if not. But the art by itself doesn't lift it up to where it's the magnificent, greatest book that I've read this week. You know, if you feel different, then that's fine. If you love this book, that's fine. Go out there and spend that money and keep that wheel turning, and make sure that DC knows that it does have people that love the direction that the Absolute Universe is going. But for me, I'm just going to stick with Absolute Wonder Woman, which I think is a much more solid story, and that will be pretty much the absolute book that I read going forward. But I did want to try this again because I've had people like Bama and people like that, that, you know, they keep telling me in the comments that I'm missing out. And unfortunately, I just don't feel like I missed out on this. So let me know in the comments, guys, am I absolutely wrong? Am I missing something here? I read the first 4 issues of Absolute Batman and then I dropped it. But I don't really think I needed to have read straight through for this to have that same impact that I was expecting. But like I said, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's just not my cup of tea. Well, thanks for joining me for this, guys. I am going to put spoilers, spoiler warnings up and things like that, so that if people don't want to be spoiled, I know that I showed some pages that people would rather not see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this look, this deep dive into Absolute Batman issue 15. Thanks. I'll catch you guys in the next video.